Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the Miami Grand Prix qualifying Watchalong. We're back again and ready to go. Here we go. Did you catch the sprint? We'll do some shout outs in a second, but the sprint this afternoon, an interesting one. I think it needed a few pit stops after the track started to dry out and a bit of drama to really kick off. But, you know, it was entertainment and we enjoyed it. So there you go. Let me know what you made of the sprint. But good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, to Pascal. Hey, Pascal. To Marta, who's got the kettle on. I'll have a tea, please, Marta. Jithu, to Fud as well. Thanks to MD Games, member for 14 months with Quali Hype there. Said Jithu. Gustav is here as well. Nick's here. Ewan is here. Very lucky there was not a very big crash in the pits in the sprint, says Ewan. We'll talk about that in a bit. Certainly will. Louis says morning. Morning to you, Louis. And Red Raven's here as well. So should have been renamed from sprint to slide. Renamed to something. But let's not get into that. We don't need to debate the existence of sprints every sprint weekend. But maybe another day. I hope you all had a good one, though, and a good weekend so far. Just a quick heads up. I'm not feeling 100% today, so if I'm a bit blah, I apologise in advance. And we've got the Haas t-shirt on this weekend, as promised, for the one of 3 home Grand Prix for that team. So, and I've realised that I haven't worn this yet, so it's a bit itchy on the arms, but, you know... These things happen. These things will happen. It's also very warm in here. What a great... Just moan. Off he goes. Moaning and moaning. But yes, Lando Norris did win the sprint this afternoon with Oscar Piastri in second. So I'm going to rephrase that. Lando Jammy Norris won the sprint this afternoon from Oscar Piastri, 0.6 of a second. It did finish behind the safety car after Fernando Alonso was wiped out by Liam Lawson. So not a grandstand finish as we may have had, but it was still close between the McLarens at points in that race. Lewis Hamilton pitted the right time to put the softs on in the drying conditions, moved up to 3rd place. Albon 4th, Russell in 5th place with Stroll in 6th, Lawson 7th, Bearman 8th, Tsunoda 9th, Antonelli 10th, Gasly 11th, Hulkenberg 12th, Hadjar 13th, Ocon 14th, Bortoleto 15th, Doohan 16th and Verstappen 17th. However, Ollie Bearman has since received a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release, which has dropped him out of that points-paying position, promoting Yuki Tsunoda up into 8th place, which is good for him. Got a point despite starting from the pit lane. Ollie Bearman having gone from 20th to 8th in that race. So great drive overall there. They're showing some highlights of it now on the Sky feed of what went on there. But yeah, that's a bit of a shame. I've not seen whether Lawson got a penalty yet, but I think he is still under investigation. So we'll see what happens. I would be surprised if he doesn't get some sort of penalty in 7th, which will promote Yuki Tsunoda up, and Antonelli, who is so unlucky, by the way, not to score today for one reason or another, with the moment at turn 1 between him and Oscar Piastri, and then you've got the unsafe release of Red Bull, which was just wholly unacceptable. But these things happen. Not Max Verstappen's fault, but Red Bull's fault there. Could have been much worse. Antonelli did well to avoid making that worse. So really, if Antonelli ends up backing the points to other people's penalties, I think there'll be some justice there, but then that justice shouldn't be handed out by Bearman and Lawson, if you know what I'm saying. So but Lawson absolutely needs to be given a penalty for that Alonso one. I'll check the FIA actually very quickly. They may have done something since I last checked. Who's car 30? That is... Okay, this is just take it. So Lawson... Car 30 was released from a pit stop in unsafe condition. 10-second penalty for Liam Lawson on the 8th. That's 8. Why is that cool? That's the 8th of December. What's that got to do with anything at all, FIA? Bear with me a second. I don't know why it's taken me there. That makes no sense at all. Nothing yet from what I can see on the Lawson situation. I was going to say 10-second stop-go penalty for something that didn't happen in the race seems really unfair on Liam Lawson. So there we go. But we'll keep an eye out. Probably just a little glitch in the system there. Possibly the bot having a bit of a moment as well. So we'll see. But yeah, Lawson is car 30. So we'll keep an eye out for that on the FIA. But I'd be surprised if we get something. I mean, the incident was... He went off track, came back on, hit Alonso, and that's kind of that, really. So, and that triggered the safety car, which allowed Norris for the 2nd year in a row to get lucky, position, make your own look, all of that business, but still did it. So, yeah, bit frustrating, I'd imagine, for Oscar Piastri fans. I was annoyed, but it happens. There'll be a race in a few weeks' time, few months' time, where that'll go the other way. It all works out in Formula One way or another. So, yeah, but let me know what you made of the sprint in chat. We'll do a few questions early on here. We are, just to let you know, still 20 minutes away from the start of the sprint. The sprint has been delayed to 9:15 p.m. UK time, which is 4:15 Eastern time, and then a bit further than 3 hours back from there for Pacific time, I think. So yeah, we've got another 20 minutes yet. That's just because of the rain that delayed the sprint race from starting and everything else that went on, and needs to get F1 Academy in, which is just this minute finished. So yeah, it's a bit of a tight schedule here, but here we are. Few minutes yet till quali, don't worry. It's not starting on the hour, it's 15 minutes later, so 9:15 UK time. I'm sure you can work that out where you are, but I've said Eastern time, I'm sure it's 4:15. So Lawson is still an investigation. I'll keep an eye on that, we'll see what happens there. It is strange though, and do you know what? Didn't even read it, Fud, and I'm going to give you the shout out even though I was going to make exactly the same point. Fud says, the thing with Lawson was he was forced off by Alonso, which caused a crash. Penalising him would be harsh, says Fud. I was just going to make the point that in that battle, Lawson's kind of, I wouldn't say shoved off track by Verstappen, but he's been sort of run out wide. So he is off track, but he's got to come back on at some point. But then, I mean, the argument there is who's responsible for rejoining the track safely. That's Liam Lawson. He didn't. So maybe not a massive penalty, but I think something in that one. I'd be surprised if there isn't something, unless the stewards view it the same way as Fud do there. Let me know what you think, but we'll see. It's not going to be any consolation to Alonso, whatever happens, because he didn't finish and is still yet to score this season, where his teammate, Lance Stroll, has 10 points. In fact, he's got more now because he finished 6th today, did Lance Stroll. So there you go. Just saying. Yeah. Just saying. I'm not getting into the Stroll stuff again. The comment section on that video and from last week and the stuff I've had to hide because of people who just cannot stand the idea that someone has a different opinion to them is ridiculous. So I cannot be bothered to get back into the debate. I know you guys are great. We have lots of disagreements here, different opinions. We're able to voice them on the lives nice and easily, but in a video, good God, you just drag out the lowest common denominator half the time, and then you've got to try and appeal to them like a lot of other YouTubers do. But anyway, put a wall there and that fixes everything. Then both drivers are out, says Kevin. I mean, there sort of is a wall there, to be fair. It's just a little bit too far out. But if I've got this feeling if Kevin was in charge of F1, we'd all be doomed. There'd be no Constructors' Championship at all. There would there'd be like that much space between the front wheels of the cars and the walls. He'd want no space whatsoever. It would be an absolute nightmare if Kevin was in charge, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Thank you, Lyle. Member for 8 months, says, with rumours of 3 teams interested in Perez according to Autosport, Alpine, General Motors and Audi, if you are him, what one would you pick? Race was good, says Lyle. So 3 teams interested in Perez according to Autosport, Alpine, GM and Audi. The thing with Perez is he can hang fire a little bit and just kind of wait, can't he? He can and kind of see what happens in the driver market. A lot of question marks over a number of drivers. So he can afford to sort of wait just a little bit and see where everybody falls. But the link to Cadillac seems to be very, very strong. And Graham Loudon was talking to the Sky commentators earlier in the weekend, and he really didn't dismiss Perez at all. He was very, very balanced about what he was saying. He didn't commit to anything, but he also didn't dismiss anything. So I think Perez is probably one of the top ones on that Cadillac list. I saw somebody on social media the other day say for a first season in F1 or for a first couple of seasons in F1, Cadillac having Perez and Bottas would be a fantastic lineup in terms of experience and feedback. I tend to agree, actually. I think if you're a brand new team and you can get your hands on Bottas and Perez, who have both throughout their career shown they are very accomplished and very talented and very quick drivers, as well as their experience, you're sitting pretty. So I think that's a really smart call. But if I were Perez, Alpine would be tempting because you've got the Mercedes power unit there and they seem to be making strides forward now. So if they can get the car right next year, they could be a tantalising prospect. I'm not sure on Audi, but then you could make the same argument for a sort of a new entry with the engine. Maybe they could have that experience there, but they've got Hulkenberg. So if I were Perez, I'd probably take a punt on Cadillac because I think he would have a great shot at being the lead driver there. And, you know, he can kind of refine his form in F1 whilst they're still settling into Formula One. There'll be a bit less pressure on him. I think that would be a good fit. So if I was Perez, I'd go Cadillac, but I would be very very tempted by that Mercedes engine in that Alpine next season. So there we go. That's my answer, Lyle. And the FIA definitely needs to figure out wet tyres. I never understand it. Although I will say that the race, grumpy boomer Sean is sat here going, "Oh, bloody wimps, get out on that track, you'll be fine." Realistic Sean is saying if Charles Leclerc is aquaplaning off on intermediates into a wall on a reconnaissance lap, probably not a good idea to be starting the race immediately. At least try and clear the water. But I do agree with what Jonty was saying on socials actually earlier. He was talking about, we get these red flags where it's a wet track, so they pull all the cars into the pits and they all sit there, which means there's nobody clearing water on the track. The best way, as Martin Brundle would say, to clear water from a track is to have 20 F1 cars going around on it. So the problem with the sprint, though, is you're ticking the laps off, aren't you? That's the trouble. So there you go. But I don't know. I don't know why he was on Inters, Nick. It would have been a team call and a him call. But yeah. I would not be tempted, but it being the notoriously unstable Enstone team, I think Perez has had enough of unstable teams. Says Red Raven. Fair enough. I'm just thinking Mercedes power. They apparently have the early advantage, if we believe the rumours, with the power unit. And when you're moving into an era that is going to be not completely dominated, but largely dominated by the engine, I think you want to be somewhere where you've got provisionally the best engine. And I think that's why I'd be tempted, not for Alpine as a team and the chaos that comes with it, bearing in mind I'll be switching back to Renault engines in 3 years, or whatever it ends up being, but because of that Mercedes power. So yeah. You're no longer a Merc George fanboy, says Kevin. No, George is up there now, and Antonelli, their t-shirts are up there now. They can stay there. I've got Oscar Piastri this weekend, and I've got the Haas t-shirt on. It's a home Grand Prix, so that's what I went with there. Which I feel like I put this on, and I'm not kidding. I put this on. It can't have been 5 minutes after that the Bearman's penalty came through. So I've probably shafted Haas this weekend with this t-shirt. So I apologise to Haas fans in advance. If Dan is watching, I don't know if he does watch these, but if he is watching, I'm sorry, mate, but I've ruined it for you. Reprimand for Leclerc, says Fudd. I'll check that one in a moment. That's going to be the... Let's check it now before quality gets started. Hang on, no. We've also got the Lawson one through. Good news. We have some decisions from the FIA multiple hours after the sprint finished, or feels like multiple hours. 5 second time penalty and a penalty point, 6 for the 12-month period for Lawson. That will drop him down then to what we're looking at here. I need the intervals. I can't do it that way. Hang on a second. Let me find the intervals. So... he's well out of the points. Let's put it that way. I can't bother to do the maths on that. He's not scored. That's all that matters in the sprint. So, car 30, that's Lawson was attempting to overtake on the outside of car 14. That's Alonso into turn 11. That's turn 11. Although being able to pull fully alongside, the front axle of car 30 was not ahead of the front axle of car 14 at the apex, as required per the driving standard guidelines, which change every other week. Therefore, car 30 was not entitled to be given room at the exit. Due to the layout of the track, the car has the right to the racing line in turn 11, also has the right to the racing line in turn 12. That explains the situation. So they feel that car 30 was predominantly at fault and therefore consider a 5 second time penalty to be appropriate, taking into account the track conditions. I don't think 5's overly harsh. I feel that was a penalty, but some may disagree. And the reconnaissance lap incident for Charles Leclerc. Car 16 continued on track with significant and obvious damage and got a driving reprimand, his first one of the season. Let's see what they say. Stewards note that incidents during the reconnaissance laps will be regarded in the same way as incidents during free practice, and therefore a reprimand is considered appropriate. Bear that in mind. That's the precedent set for that one. So no penalty for Leclerc, just a ticking off, a formal ticking off, and a 5 second time penalty for Lawson. So that order on there is now completely wrong. That moves Yuki Tsunoda up into, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, it moves Yuki Tsunoda up into 7th place, so 2 points, and puts Kimi Antonelli into 8th place for a point as well, because of course Bearman drops with his penalty and Lawson drops as well. So there we go. My money's on the Honey Badger signing for Caddy. I know it's batshit, says Lewis, but Caddy is launching in Australia in 2026 and the International Car Show is being hosted in Melbourne. Never underestimate the commercial side of these decisions. There are also rumours that Zhou Guanyu could be at Cadillac for next season. only rumours, of course. I think Zhou Guanyu did okay in F1. I don't think he set the world alight, but he does completely have control of the Chinese market when it comes to F1, doesn't he? So I think you've got to bear that in mind. The commercial aspects, I'd be surprised if Ricciardo returns. I haven't seen much of him since. I'm sure he's around somewhere, but I imagine he's probably done with it all. They're getting chucked out of teams and not finding form and just the pressures that come with it. He's probably just not that bothered anymore. So I could see a Perez Zhou, but if I'm sat there as Cadillac, I'm Graham Loudon and I'm all those in charge, and I'm sat looking at it and Dan Towris, and I'm just thinking, first year in F1, brand spanking new car, brand spanking new regulations. We've never worked with this Ferrari power unit before. We're building our own. What do we need? Experience. Perez is available. Bottas would be available. That's what I'd do for the first couple of years. And then you can look at if they want to bring Colton Herta in, for example, or somebody like that then. But I'm thinking purely from a feedback, sporting point of view rather than the commercial aspects. So there you go. Is Albon still in investigation? I assume so, Red Raven. I've not had a decision through on Alex Albon. It's a safety car infringement, isn't it? So I'll keep an eye out for that and see if it comes through. It is fascinating to me that we're still waiting on these decisions. This is very Formula E, isn't it? But then that's an FIA series, so I suppose it's not a great surprise. But here we are. We'll sit and wait. Zhou as number 3, says Red Raven, is a good idea. Yeah, no, good. No, that doesn't really matter at all. That's a good shout. We are about 10 minutes away, 9 minutes away, if you want me to be really specific, from the start of qualifying here. Teams getting ready. Some repair jobs to be done at Aston Martin, of course, for Fernando Alonso, and also repairs for Leclerc. And I would assume there'll need to be some repairs on Sainz's car, because it was a puncture, but it's because he walloped the wall. So I'd be surprised if they don't have to repair that as well. But the Williams will probably take the least of all. But it looks like the Ferrari is pretty much ready, as the Mercs there getting ready. That's Antonelli, pole sitter. Yesterday. Oh, look, I don't want to take anything away from him, but I'm just such a pedant with these things. Pole position is for Grand Prix, so he's not the youngest ever pole sitter. So we get around it. Elizabeth did it in the short yesterday by saying youngest ever pole sitter in any Formula One race format. Unfortunately for Kimi Antonelli, it won't count for anything apart from on a sprint record. So, but it's good experience. It's a good thing to have to his name. He's done it. That's great to see. But unfortunately, he won't break the list of pole sitters, which is it's one of the things I hate about the sprints, is the way the stats work out. But you know, people seem to love them. There we go. Lawson's got the 6 penalty points in just half a year, including last year. That's more than his real points in that time, says Fudd. Brutal stat. Brutal. There's something lingering in my mind that Mercedes won't be ahead of the rest. If that was the case, then why would Lewis leave before the new regs, says CPB. Lewis, on the Lewis one, on that specifically, that's because they wouldn't give him the multi-year deal he wanted. They'd only give him 1 year, I think a 1+1, and he wanted multi-year. So I think that's part of the reason behind that. But I go back to what I said last winter when it was announced that he was going to Ferrari. I don't think this is a move that Lewis Hamilton needed to make. I think this is a move that Lewis Hamilton wanted to make. I think there is a big difference there. So I think it does boil down to that contract. If Mercedes had offered him a 2-year deal last year before the Ferrari offer, I think he'd have signed it. Like a 2+1 or something. I think he'd have signed it. But a 1+1. I say think. I don't know. I don't know the guy any better than you do. So if you've got his number, let me know what he says. But yeah. Martin Brundle's fallen in love with a sprint, says Nick. Oh, Martin Brundle in his classic sprint line every bloody year. Well, this is much better than FP3. Yes, it is better than FP3. Do you know why it's better than FP3? Here I go. Because FP3 isn't supposed to be entertaining. Testing isn't supposed to be entertaining. There's a reason these things were never broadcast. They're boring. Practice is never meant to be exciting and entertaining. Neither was testing. So if we're going to defend sprints with the line, it's better than FP3, I could probably list 100 other things that have nothing to do with F1 that are better than FP3 that I'd rather be doing, including going to the garden centre because I need some grass seed. But, you know, if we're going to use that, it's just a weak argument. But the sprint today was entertaining once we got to... And actually, that's the point I wanted to make before I get into that point as well. The sprint was the sprint. Just did what sprints did up until the point where we started to get the pit stops. What does that tell you about what the sprints need? Some sort of strategy. You throw, yes, it was wet weather to dry tyres, I get that. But if you throw strategy into the sprint, it mixes things up, and that's what started to make it exciting. That's when we got the unsafe releases. That's when we got the people switching early, the people waiting too long. That's when we got the drama on track. You throw strategy into it, it probably spices sprints up massively. So I think we've answered the question of what would really help sprints is to be slightly longer, and also add an element of strategy. Just my opinion. But the music has kicked in. We're ready to go. Let's get all the timing set up for you all then. Oh, here come the YouTube disclaimer things and all that nonsense, and I will say it just the once. Live timing is provided, as always, by the folks over at Multiview for F1. Thank you so much to those guys for allowing me to use these in the streams. It really does make a difference, and I appreciate them massively for it. So thank you so much. You can customize your own viewing experience with as much or as little data as you like. I've got about 32,000 windows open, it feels like, so I've got a lot of data here. It is free, but you will need some sort of F1 TV subscription, whether that's Access or Pro, but links in the description to find out more to F1 Multiview. So thank you to those guys. And obviously, no on-track footage for completely, totally obvious and reasonable copyright reasons. And that's the end of that. It's late in the evening, so Sean gets a bit leery at this time of night. So if I offend anyone tonight, I do apologise. It's all meant in good faith. It's just a bit of banter. More than anything. So I'll have a quick drink and then we'll get ready for quali. All ready to go. Here we go then. I think I said last week, actually, or the other week, I think I said that I'm a bit more of a night owl. So, yeah. Are you ever going to do post-race streams again, says CPB? It adds this in a way that won't get me into trouble, don't it, really? I'd be doing them rather than this. But, you know, here we are. Not that I don't enjoy it. I'm just saying, not that I don't enjoy these. Don't all leave all at once, please. That's not what I'm saying, but yeah. I don't think so, no. It's this or post-race streams, and this is what's wanted at the moment. So, there we go. Are we ready? We are ready to go. So it still says Miami Grand Prix sprint. So why are we still on sprint here? Bear with me. Sorry about this. Just bear with me a second. I see why. That's why. I opened the wrong window. Da, 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 da. Sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. We would have been sat here all day with me going, oh my goodness, this is very close and exciting. Look at them racing out there. So thank you for spotting that one. I think that should all be okay now. Should be okay. Yeah, they're all in the pits. There we go. Apologies there. They weren't all out on track early. That was my mistake. So there you go. It is qualifying one. 80 minutes for Q1, 15 for Q2, 12 for Q3. We'll lose 5 at the end of each session. So there we go. Waiting now for the drivers to get out there. Do we like the disco ball helmets? Question mark, says Kevin. Yeah, it's a lot of people love it on socials, so that's fine. So enjoy, but it's just fine. I'm not. I think we've seen better helmets, but one thing is for sure: if this was a night race, that'd look amazing. Actually, that's a question before quali gets going. Does anybody know? And I might ask Elizabeth because she's from that neck of the woods, so she might know the answer. Well, she's actually from Texas, but yeah. America is what I meant, the USA. Is there a climate reason why? Obviously, we haven't got the floodlights, so that's why we can't have a night race in Miami. But is there a reason relating to the climate as to why we couldn't have a night race in Miami? Because I think, and I'm going to say this now, and you watch us have a crack of a race tomorrow, I think this could be like Bahrain, where it might come alive if it was a night race. So because obviously we need the floodlights, but I mean, is there is there a climate reason? Is there a reason with the locals, a noise issue or anything like that as to why they couldn't? Just interested to know. So let me know if you know. But, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. 1 a.m. Europe. See, that's the thing. I get what you're saying, Nick. And I know that, it's a global sport and Europe is probably its predominant audience, but lots of people all over the world get up at 1 a.m. to watch F1. It's not going to hurt Europeans to do it every now and again. So, but yeah, I get the point, I suppose. But we are go for qualifying. 15 seconds we missed, and you missed so much. All the cars are queued at the end of the pit lane. Bortoleto first out, Hulkenberg not far behind. Yeah, dusk maybe, or a dusk to night race like Abu Dhabi. That wouldn't be too bad. I think. But we are ready to go. Yeah, just one sec. I didn't want to cough into the mic, so there we go. just cough all over you all. That'd be terrible. No, but we'll just wait, basically. I'm going to keep answering your questions while I wait for these cars to get round and get started in quali here. Ted Kravitz in the pits for Sky this weekend. I don't know if you caught the sprint on Sky. I have to say, commentary seemed a bit tetchy at times. Ted Kravitz and Crofty arguing over whether or not the race had or hadn't started. Schrodinger's sprint race and all that. And if you fancy another potential Big Bang reference, I suppose, I informed you thusly. Ted Kravitz was able to say effectively to Crofty. Crofty, that was it. Yeah, it could be a marketing thing with Vegas. That's a good point. Yeah, apparently the alligators might be more active at night, says Charlie. Yeah, but that's a curveball in the race, isn't it? See what happens. What's the worst that could happen? Honestly. The highway could be an issue at night, says Louis as well. That's a very good point as well, actually. I think you're Louis this weekend, mate. Pit infringement noted for Alex Albon. I assume that's going to be pushing into the queue rather than waiting. Yes, I've seen this rose. Here comes Boomer Sean. Here he goes. I've seen this rose. I have no idea who they are, but I hope they seem to be quite a big star because we're focusing on them every 3 minutes. So there you go. Recommend me a song and I'll listen to it after the stream and then I'll tell you tomorrow what I thought. You don't want to know, my taste in music is so bloody random. Eclectic, somebody said once, which makes me sound better than weird. So first one to do a lap is going to be Gabriel Bortoleto, but he's still round at turn 12 at the moment. And coming up to that tricky little chicane at 15 and 16. I do like that 11, 12, 13 sequence of corners, but I do not like the chicane. Then again, it is very Singapore sling in some ways. So here comes Gasly into turn. I need to learn these corners. Russell, it's the pit entry. It's not a pit exit. It's fine. Hopefully just do a practice start there. But Gasly was coming through 11, 12, 13, through the chicane at 14, 15, through turn 16 now. DRS open a little bit further down the straight. Actually a bit further down than you realise. It's about there. I wasn't far off. A bit further down the road there, but here he goes. He's going to get good lapping. Purple in the middle sector. As you know, Bortoleto does a 28.674. We'll see what Hulkenberg can do. Hulkenberg goes fastest on a 28.391. And then we've got Verstappen. He's out there now. Here comes Gasly. I imagine he's going quicker there. He doesn't. 28.737. That's a surprise. Alonso's flying in his rebuilt Aston Martin at the moment. 4 tenths up on Nico Hulkenberg. I think this will be quite close in quali in Q1 in the knockout here. So Rose was in the Blackpink band. I know this because I have a 17-year-old daughter. There you go, Kevin. Thank you. No idea what any of that means, but I'll nod. Yes. Thank you, Kevin. 28 flat for Fernando Alonso over the line. Sights up into second place, 28.0. We're going to watch Max Verstappen now, purple in the first sector, as you'd expect. I'll jump on the bandwagon for the weekend. New father, Max Verstappen. There were a few. Somebody mentioned this in the comments actually to one of the shorts on Friday. I think it was the Friday short. A lot of the headlines this weekend made it sound like Max Verstappen was about to give birth, which was quite a moment. So, if that is the case, he's done a cracking job to be in that car already. 3 tenths up on Albon, who has gone fastest on a 27.8. Hopefully, not too many penalties there for Albon. Hopefully, he can get a good quali today. Ocon up to 6th place. Probably going to be last today, Haas, because I'm wearing the t-shirt and jinxing them. So they did do well to repair it, John. Good shout on the Aston, getting that rebuilt for this session, because that was something as well that concerned me a bit as Verstappen does a 27.5 was when Zach Brown was talking pre-sprint about, drivers not going to take a risk because they don't want to smash the car up before quali because of such a short turnaround. And you sort of think, yeah, but we're going racing, so can we take some more risks? So I completely get it from a team perspective as Piastri goes 2.5 seconds quicker than Verstappen on 27.3. But you don't want to hear that before you go into a race of any kind, do you? We're not going to be pushing too much or not take too many risks because we don't want to crash the car. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. 3.5 tenths off his teammate Lando Norris in third and just a tenth off Verstappen. So I think, what was the sprint pole time? We were well into 26s, weren't we, the sprint pole time? So apparently the bugs are bad at night in Miami. It's just paradox. That's a good point. Yeah, you'd need quite a few tear-offs maybe then. Could be the problem. Could be a problem. Russell then, what's he going to do? Nothing. He's pitting. So expect to see, and that is the case, actually, look at the timing tower, a lot of used tyres today because, particularly in the first part of quali, because of course we have the extra session, the extra qualifying session with sprint quali and the sprint race as well. So a lot of tyres have been used this weekend and you get one less set anyway. So only ones on new tyres set a time. Doohan, Hulkenberg, Bortoleto, Gasly, Bearman at the moment. Stroll has as well, and Hadjar is out there on new tyres, has yet to set a time, but he's on one now, so, or will be on one now, or very shortly. So yeah, lots of used tyres initially, but that'll soon change for sure. 2 inches of tear-offs for the bugs, says Kevin, and Nick says delayed sprints due to mosquito bites. Yeah, I'm not being ignorant to it all. I just don't know the area, so I don't know if there's... I know some places don't like races at certain times of the day because of the noise level and things like that. So I don't know if there's like another proper reason for it, but probably 101 reasons, some of them commercial. But I just, yeah. I guess as well, when you think of Miami as somebody who has never been to Miami, you think about sunshine and beaches and all of that. And I'm sure it is that, but I'm sure it's so much more as well. So having a night race maybe wouldn't fit with the image, if that makes sense. Maybe. There's probably 101 reasons, like I say, but maybe we'll find out one day. They might try it, but I just, yeah, a night race would look quite cool with the stadium lit up and everything else around it, but probably never going to happen. Can't believe Yoss the boss is a granddad already, says Nick. Yeah. CPB says, our Lord Mighty Max gives birth, released a kidney stone, and has an appendix removal all in 1 week. It's the F1 equivalent of Gandalf the Grey becoming Gandalf the White. Yeah, that was a push in from Albon there in the pit lane. Complaint there from Hadjar on the radio. Did squeeze in. I mean, I'd be surprised if that's any kind of sporty penalty. I would assume that would be some sort of reprimand, maybe a fine, but I think a penalty for that would be a little bit ridiculous. So Dan the man says Miami's weird, it could pour down for an hour and be dry 10 minutes later. Yeah we saw that today, didn't we? No, I don't think it was supposed to rain in or for the sprint today, and then it just hammered it down, didn't it, out of nowhere, and then delayed the start of it. But rain is forecast for tomorrow, so we'll see what happens in the race. But we've got 9 minutes to go in this qualifying session at the moment. Piastri fastest, Verstappen second, and Norris third. Pit infringement for Albon investigated after the session, so bear that in mind. But we've got Stroll, Hadjar, Russell, Antonelli, and Lawson all in the bottom 5. Actually, 4 of those haven't set a time yet. So, and Stroll has set a time, but he's not a great time. Everybody apart from Lando Norris on track at the moment, and they're all on new tyres. Norris is about to leave the pits though, so I assume he's going to be on a nice new set of softs. He is indeed, as Albon does a purple first sector. So track evolution quite high this weekend, but we have had, I think Porsche are there, Porsche Carrera Cup North America, and F1 Academy as well have just been out. So track will be rubbering in nicely, but of course that rain will have got rid of some of that when it washed it away. So actually might be quite high today, track evolution. Hadjar goes second, 27.4. Good lap. I think I'm slightly out of sync. In fact, I'm probably too far out of sync, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's all good. Over the line goes Stroll, up into 11th place on a 28.264. 24. I don't know what the cutoff is just yet. If you've seen it, let me know. I didn't catch it on screen, but it's a bit early for the cutoff just yet. But we'll find out shortly. Sainz goes fastest on a 27.0. Now, Williams have been quick this weekend. So they could be a team to watch here in the same way that Gasly was a couple of weeks ago, where he managed to pop himself up into, was it a couple of weeks ago or a week before that, he popped up into 4th place, didn't he, randomly, and shocked us all. But Albon up to 4th, and Antonelli goes fastest on the 27 flat. This is only Q1 as well, so we're already on the brink of 26s here as Bortoleto goes 5th. Brace yourself, Pascal. He couldn't, could he? Get himself through into Q2. That'd be good to see for Sauber. They are still Sauber. Yes, they are. Took me a minute. Yeah, Stroll's already down to 15th place already. So, yeah, concerning for Lance Stroll. But, yeah, at the moment, we've got quite... I mean, I know we've still got the laps to come from McLaren and Verstappen and everybody else. But I'd love that as a mixed-up top 5 or 6 tomorrow. That'd be a great start to the race, wouldn't it? We'll do predictions in a bit as well before Q3. We'll not do them beforehand. I'm just going to have to stop for a second. Sorry. All good. We'll be fine. We'll get through this. If you're just tuning in, like I said, not 100% today. So if I have to pause or anything like that for a moment, it's apologies. But it's that or choking the mic at you all, and nobody needs to hear that. So I wouldn't do that to you. As Leclerc goes on, Hamilton only 15th, by the way, at the moment, which is concerning for Ferrari. Where's the pace this weekend for Ferrari? It's been disappointing, hasn't it, this weekend? I know Hamilton got 3rd today with a great call on strategy by him and the team in the sprint, but the pace overall, they're not really in the mix. I know we don't really know from Leclerc because of the sprint, don't we, because it's crashed, but down in 15th for Hamilton, that'll be a concern. But still track evolution to take into account. There is still time for another set if he wants to come in and put some more on. But Antonelli still leading that field on that 27.0 here. Verstappen purple in the first sector, 33.4 in the middle sector, which is just a little bit quicker than Antonelli. And by a little bit, I say a whole tenth of a second. And Max Verstappen goes fastest on a 1:26.870. We're already in the 1:26 in Q1. So we've got these times are going to come down massively. Norris is improvement in the first sector. Not a particularly amazing middle sector, but not terrible. It's one of those where he's not improved, but he's actually still well in the mix with the front runners there. Piastri up to 2nd place, 27.0. Norris goes 5th on a 27.319. So not spectacular times from Norris there. Yeah, Russell's down in 9th place as well. John saying that Russell's struggling here. He's down in 9th place at the moment on a 27.4. Best part, well, 6/10 covering the top 10, 11 cars, 12 cars, 13 cars here, which is pretty close. There is time to be found. What happened to Hamilton? He's locked up. Big lock up there into the that awkward, tricky turn 17. And that's going to cost him. That's what cost him all that time. So he definitely has to go again. Are they going to come in for... He's going to come for some new tyres, so maybe a flat spot as well there. So needs a new set. They've got 4 minutes here to turn this car around and get him back out and round to start his lap. So... I think they said yesterday you want to be out with about a couple of minutes left in the session, with a lap being about a minute and a half, an hour and a half to get around, a minute and a half to get around. So bear that one in mind. Kevin says, when does Lewis and Fernando retire? I can't, part of me wonders if Fernando might go at the end of this year. But if you've got Adrian Newey coming in at the start of a new set of regulations, you're giving him the year, aren't you? So I think at the earliest end of 26 for Fernando, but it could all come down to what Mr. Verstappen does everywhere on this grid, because pretty much every team who has an available seat is going to ask the question of Max Verstappen if he decides to leave Red Bull. So he holds the key to this driver market. George Russell probably holds the spare key. The Saubers there with their revolutionary new livery. One of those things where if they hadn't announced it, you probably wouldn't have noticed. Cool video to launch it, but it's fine. As an American, Miami's like the show Miami Vice's paradox. I imagine that, yeah. Elizabeth said before the weekend, she's just like one Miami Grand Prix where they don't have to lead into the Miami Vice theme. Maybe they'll do it one year. So here goes George Russell then. He's on another flying lap through the first couple of corners. Here is George. He's not on the driver tracker, which is interesting. Or not on my driver tracker anyway. So I don't know if I'm delayed somewhere, but that's unusual. Let's run a refresh on these. Because George is definitely out there. I promise you he's out there. He's doing his lap now, but I can't see him on that driver tracker. He's not at all, no. So yeah, I'll let you know what he's doing. He's just coming now through turn 11, and then around this nice little long hander of 12 into 13, then across the chicane. I think that driver tracker, just to let you know, is really wrong here. So I can only go off the official one, so I can't do anything there, so apologies. So I'll try to keep with the times here, but yeah, just ignore that driver tracker until it catches up with where we are, because George Russell is down that straight already. So we'll see what he does here. 1:37 to go on the TV clock. I'm well out of sync here. I'm a few seconds ahead, so I'll try to spoil everything for you. Don't worry. I'll adjust it for the next session so we're not too far ahead. George Russell over the line goes P3, 1:27.014. Alex Albon just about to start a lap. Here comes Ollie Bearman now. It's just George Russell that's not on the driver tracker. I think George Russell is having transponder issues again. He's vanished from the face of the earth. It happens from time to time. Bearman over the line. 19th, so he's not going to get out from there, is he? No time to do another lap, so that is game over for him. So Bearman is out. Stroll is improving. So keep an eye on Lance Stroll here. Bortoleto and Hulkenberg. Pascal's going to pass out somewhere. Up there very comfortably, actually. Piastri and Verstappen still in the pits, by the way. Leclerc only 9th, but should be through from there. Everyone improving, though. Gasly goes 15th. Hamilton into the drop zone. Hadjar is going to be, Sainz next across the line. I assume starting a lap. He is starting a lap, is Carlos Sainz. Hadjar next to get his lap in. 6th place for Hadjar. Good lap from the Racing Bulls driver there in that lovely pink livery. Easily winning livery of the weekend. Special livery of the weekend. The Ferrari one is not. Stroll moves up to 18th to go ahead of Fernando Alonso, but is out of the session to join Ollie Bearman. Ocon improving. There is nothing in this, by the way. Hamilton, as the checker flag comes out, 46 thousandths off getting through. Gasly just 6 thousandths quicker than that. Doohan just 2 thousandths quicker than that. This is very, very close. Hamilton needs this lap, but there is nothing in it. This is going to be interesting as Albon goes 4th in the Williams. They have got some pace this weekend. Have Williams. Who are we going to lose here? We've definitely lost Bearman. We've definitely lost Stroll. Doohan goes 11th. Good lap from him. And out qualifies Pierre Gasly, unless Gasly can find some time out there, which he's not at the moment. He's not going to get lapping, so Gasly's out as well. So good stuff from Jack Doohan there on a weekend where he really needs it, given the rumours flying around. The nonsense rumours, probably, but we'll not get into that. Norris goes 2nd. 26.955 for him. Not the cleanest of laps for Hamilton here, but he is 4/10 up on a time to get through, so he should be good. As Ocon goes 13th to sneak through. Tsunoda's in trouble here. Big trouble, Yuki Tsunoda. He is on the bubble. Alonso isn't improving. Hamilton is improving. So this is between Hamilton and Tsunoda at the moment. Hamilton should get through and does, through into 8th place. What can Tsunoda do? He's in the drop zone. He does improve to P9. It's Hulkenberg who drops out. And I think that is pretty much it. That is everyone done and dusted. So we have lost Nico Hulkenberg, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, and Ollie Bearman. Norris, as he hit the wall at turn 16. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that in a moment. But Ocon sneaking through by a couple of hundredths of a second there in 15th place. So good news for him. But it is goodbye to Hulkenberg, Alonso, Gasly, Stroll, and Bearman for now. They'll be back tomorrow. They'll be back for tomorrow. You hope they will be. But yeah, Max Verstappen quickest, 26.870. Marginally quicker than Lando Norris, who was just a little bit quicker than his teammate. 2/10 of a second covering the top 6 or 7 drivers there. Let's have a look at big slide in the on the exit of the chicane there, and I'm guessing brush. That's fine, Lando. You'll be fine with that, mate. Yeah, he's brushed the wall. He's fine there. No worries there. Both Astons gone. Not having a great season, are they, Aston Martin, at all? They're really, really not. Particularly Fernando Alonso, actually, with no points on the board. But that is the first time. We get me quality results out now. That is the first time, I believe, it is indeed, Jack Doohan has out-qualified Pierre Gasly. So it is 1-0. Sorry, 5-1 to Pierre Gasly. But that's the first one Doohan's managed. So that's good stuff from him. And I think anything else worth pointing out in that? I know it's the knockout stage, so not really overly thrilling, I imagine. Lawson out qualified by Hadjar again. Tsunoda's through, so that's good to see. Albon ahead of Sainz for now. Sorry, Hadjar hasn't. We haven't finished qualifying yet, Sean. In that session, I mean. Hadjar currently looking set to do that. Bortoleto out qualified Hulkenberg. That's confirmed, isn't it? Doohan on Gasly, Alonso on Stroll, Ocon on Bearman. So there we go. Just worth pointing out, that gives Ocon a 3-2 lead in a qualifying head-to-head versus Ollie Bearman. That's one to keep an eye on. That is one to keep an eye on. But yeah, nothing between the top 0.228 between the top 7 drivers. I'm not going to start pretending I believe Williams are in a fight for pole, but they're not far off. A couple of mistakes from others, maybe. A banging lap, you never know. But yeah, Ferrari, lack of pace. Frank says Charles only P12. You've got Hamilton 8th. Yeah, there's struggles there, isn't there, for Ferrari, which is a concern this weekend because I was hoping they'd turn up and get it right, but I should know better, really, shouldn't I, after all these years, really? 1.1 for the second, says Pim. For the field, sorry, says Pim. Yeah, 1.129 covers the entire field. It's so close out there this season. It's almost like we don't need a rules reset, but here we are. Let's not get back into that one. I'll be off again. Yeah, good. It's close, and that's good to see. And like I said earlier, when Hamilton was still in the drop zone, nothing between them. And looking at the times, actually, I mean, Hulkenberg, 200ths off Q2. Ocon in 15th, just getting through, and only 6 thousandths off Lawson. Doing only 5 thousandths off Leclerc. It's so tight out there. Russell 8 off Piastri. It's so tight out there. One mistake with somebody else getting the perfect lap together could make such a difference. I'm loving it. Loving quali this year. So Bortoleto and Doohan suddenly putting in laps, says Nick. I think Bortoleto was 4-1 down, wasn't he, on Hulkenberg, because he qualified in first weekend. Gasly, what's happened to Pierre Gasly? He wasn't happy with some traffic there by the looks of it. Sixth one had a Ferrari. I'm not sure on that. I don't. Yeah. Albon continues to perform so well, says Louis. Never been more happy to be wrong about an F1 driver. Yeah. Albon, sorry, I don't know who I thought you said that, but yeah, Albon. He is, and I think I'm feeling a little bit. Some of the comments I made pre-season, I feel a bit justified on as well. I was saying to everybody that, and I did videos on it, that I think that Williams fight is not a lot of people told me Sainz would get in that car, blitz Albon, it would expose Albon, we'd learn how good Sainz was, and actually that hasn't happened. And I said pre-season that battle will be so much closer than everybody's trying to convince me. And it's actually, I mean, I'll tell you now, it's actually very close. So in qualifying where both drivers set a lap, 3-2 to Albon, that's we'll see what happens today. That's 3-2. Average qualifying gap is 1/10 of a second just over between them, 0.125 on average across the first 5 races. So it's insanely close between them. It's not the closest battle, by the way. The closest battle is Ocon versus Bearman, with Bearman prior to Miami 0.025 up on average on Ocon. That's obviously going to change this weekend now because Ocon has out-qualified him, but we'll have a look at that one. Maybe tomorrow or next week or whenever. But yeah, so it's a really close fight out there, and Albon's doing a lot better than I think people gave him credit for over the winter, maybe. But we learn. And I actually, just to make the point as well, on what Louis is saying there about, what's the word I'm looking for? About being sort of wrong about a driver. I've never been blown away by Albon, so I also agree it's really nice to see him doing well and making me go, oh, okay, I was wrong on that one. But it's also nice that we can have that conversation on this channel because we're all grown up enough to be able to go, oh, I was wrong on that one, and move on. So there we go. But we've got Session 2, Q2, Session 2. What the hell is Session 2? Q2 is underway. Just making up session names now. There we go. Quali Super Fast Hot Lap 2 is ready to go. Everybody heading out straight away, as you'd expect. Verstappen, first one out to get a lap in. And it looks like new tyres for Verstappen and co as well. I'll let you know what the tyre situation is as they get out there, so we have that confirmed. But yeah. It's just good to see Williams not last with an awful car, says Dan. Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of, no disrespect to Red Bull and Mercedes and co, but I'm kind of pining for Ferrari, Williams and McLaren at the front again. Just so I could feel young for 5 minutes and it'll just feel like the 90s again. Probably not going to happen, but yeah, they're making strides forward. And again, I stand by what I've always said about James Vowles. He's doing such a great job there, and a lot of the stuff we're not seeing that's happening behind the scenes is really turning that team around. So, and don't forget as well, this is with a lot of focus on next year's car. They're talking about next year's car already. That is where their focus is, and they've turned up with a car like this. So I think they deserve a lot of credit. It'd be very easy for them to have done a Haas in 21 and just trundle around at the back, get to the end of the season and put full focus on the following year, whereas they've actually built a good car, a very simple car, I think we said in testing, didn't we? But a really good car that's doing a great job with 2 good drivers, and it's coming together. So they're going to have a good season and can focus on next year's car. That's how you do it. So really enjoying that one. So Max Verstappen starts his lap then. See what he could do. First one, we were in the 26s, weren't we, already? So this could be low 26s for pole. Anybody think we might sneak into the 25s, or is that just, is that pie in the sky? No chance. I guess you never know, do you? Alonso might decide to cut some chicanes or whatever, like he did in Abu Dhabi a few years ago for the fastest lap and surprised everybody. Sat there watching that live, was like, oh my god, Alonso's just gone 4 seconds quicker in the middle sector. What's going on here? And he was cutting corners in his last race before he went off to retire for a bit or take a sabbatical. That surprised a few. So Verstappen will be first to do a lap. Tsunoda will be the next one after that. So, in fact, Verstappen just going through 16 now, so we should find out very, very shortly. I didn't adjust the times on this, so he might be slightly ahead of again, but we'll see how we go. CPB says Vowles is being groomed for Toto's spot at Mercedes. You heard it here first. I'll hold you to that, but you might not be wrong. You might not be wrong. It's not going to be Christian Horner, is it, at Mercedes to replace him? You never know. Stranger things have happened in F1, but yeah, I'd be surprised. Verstappen, 26.6. So we're already into the mid-26s. Tsunoda 27.1. Hamilton on used tyres, by the way, as is George Russell. So everybody else, according to the timing screens, on new tyres. So keep an eye on that one as Ocon does a 27.2 and moves up into, well, now 4th place because Leclerc goes second on a 26.9. Where's that come from, Charles? 26.9. I'm just going to try just the timing here because this seems a little bit, I definitely feel like I'm way ahead. So hopefully we'll find out where everybody is in a moment. So Bortoleto, well ahead. This is ridiculous. I try to make sure I'm not spoiling it for everybody by screaming things before they happen. But here comes Hamilton up into 4th place. This is crazy ahead. Sorry, I apologise. I'm faffing with this now, but it's kind of crazy that. Should be 10:35. No, still ahead. I don't know. Maybe it's a glitch because that's well off there. But anyway, we're a little bit closer. We'll see how we go. We'll try and have another go in the next session. But Lawson, 27.754 over the line. He goes into turn 1 now, so he is going to need to go again with that one. That's not a great lap at all, is it? In fact, we'll wait till the lap times rolling before we start deciding who needs to go again, but a few there are going to need to for sure. Lawson not quick enough. Ocon, Bortoleto, Tsunoda won't be quick enough. Piastri does a 26.2. We might sneak into the 25s here. That's a 26.269 on a track that will keep ramping up in this session, and another session still to go as Norris does a 26.4 and goes second. This could be. The bus says new floor working for Max, question mark. Yes, he's got the new floor, hasn't he, this weekend? So that could be a factor, absolutely. Bear that in mind with the lap times. And thank you for reminding me of that, the bus. Thank you. When we see Tsunoda's times later, when he's behind inevitably Verstappen, just bear in mind whatever that gap is. He hasn't got the fully upgraded package. So, in fact, he's only got the old floor. Max has got the new floor. Big package, I think, for Imola for... Red Bull, I believe, unless that's changed. That was the last I heard, was it would be Imola for a big package there. So yeah, floor on Verstappen's car doing something. He's been quick, hasn't he? It's just in the sprint earlier today, the pace wasn't quite there to challenge the McLarens, but he was still sort of best of the rest, wasn't he? Until it all fell apart in the pit stop for him. So just want to bear in mind when we look at the times later, when, if Tsunoda ends up being a second off or whatever, which would be incredible given that there's only a second covering the field at one point. Just no grip down what's going on, says George Russell on team radio, so he's not happy out there. He's only 11th at the moment, so I'd be surprised if he stays there on the used tyres as well, by the way, just to let you know. So there is definitely more time on the table there for George, but again, so close. Look at that. Bortoleto, 2 thousandths off Tsunoda in 9th. Russell, 9 thousandths off Bortoleto. Ocon, 400ths off. It is so close. 10th, 11th, and 12th there. So this is going to be another tight session. We might get a shock here. But McLaren looking good. Ted Kravitz saying over the Sky comms there, he's almost speechless at that lap from Piastri. So we might. Has Leclerc hit the wall again? He has just tagged the wall, or is it just close? Oh, we've got that stupid graphic. Super close to the wall, 5 centimetres. Cool. Yeah, didn't quite hit it, just very, very close. So all good there for sure. I was just worried that I thought, oh, not again. Here we go. Everyone in the pit, send this little lull we've got. So come to you in chat. See what you're all waffling about. Only one person waffles here, and it's me. I feel like Tesla will go to a new role within F1 or the FIA to CPB. I have long said, as you'll know, CPB, I think he could be a future FIA Prez. I can see it. I had a dream last night on the subject of FIA presidents. No. Which just shows you I can't ever escape this sport no matter what I do. I had a dream last night that Mohammed Ben Sulayem stepped down as FIA president. And I think Christian Horner, Toto Wolff, Jean Todt for some reason as well, and somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but I think George Russell randomly threw their hat in the ring, and there was a big fuss about George Russell being FIA president and still racing in F1. So there you go. It could have been a premonition. You never know. If you get the news tomorrow that George Russell's new FIA Prez, I've got a gift, a special gift. Very strange, very, very strange. But yeah, welcome to see him step down, but not so much the rest of it was a bit weird. I do think Christian, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Christian Horner won't mind a crack at that job when he's a bit older as well, I don't know. But the idea of a Toto Wolff or a Christian Horner taking on the FIA presidency would be, the fireworks. It'd be but don't forget Jean Todt did it once, and he was all over Ferrari, wasn't he? So there you go. I should be F1 and FIA president. You're right, Nick. I would absolutely solve all the problems in this sport. We'd race every week except for Christmas and New Year. There'd be 24 cars on the grid. There'd be no sprints. We'd have reverse races, where not reverse tracks, you just drive in reverse. Because why not? And I properly regionalise the calendar as well. Sod your contracts. You go where I put you. End of that. There you go. What did you have for dinner, says Dan the man. Nothing. It's with it being evening races, I won't eat until stupid o'clock. So nothing yet, Dan, I'm afraid, mate. I had some Cheerios this morning, which was very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm going to make a lasagna tomorrow, though. I know that. I know you didn't ask. I'm going to tell you anyway what I'm having tomorrow. I'm going to make a lasagna. Do some batch cooking tomorrow because that's just how I have to operate timings-wise. So we've got a Williams trying to sneak in there again. Not going to happen. Is anyone going to let him in? No, you just have to wait his turn. Oh, I see. To get that crazy dream. Fair enough. Yeah. A lot of cheese, obviously, Dan. 4.5 minutes coming up to now. In fact, it's 4.5 minutes to go. Everyone in the pit lane, apart from Tsunoda, Ocon, Bortoleto, Hadjar, Norris now exiting. So they're all queuing. Is Piastri maybe feeling pretty confident on that 26.2 there? I would be surprised if a Bortoleto finds 0.8 of a second, but you never know. So Piastri has obviously decided, unless he comes out of the garage now, that he's going to sit on that time and save the tyres for the next session, which makes a lot of sense. Norris is out on used tyres. Verstappen has just left the pit lane, also on used tyres, according to the timing there. Yeah, Piastri. I think Piastri's fine on the 26.2. Interesting that Norris feels the need to go out on a 26.4, though. Maybe just being out there just in case. Probably wise, but everyone else will go out. We've currently got Russell, Ocon, Doohan, Lawson and Hadjar in the drop zone. We've already lost Hulkenberg, Alonso, Gasly, Stroll and Bearman. No great surprises so far. Although Bearman down in 20th for a second time this weekend. He's qualified last, so yeah. You might, Lyle. Lyle says the cooking word with Sean. You might fancy that as a channel idea, but anyone who doesn't like swearing would not want to be on that one. I do tend to, when I'm cooking both professionally and privately, I do get a little bit Gordon Ramsay on people's ass with it. I can't help it. It's a very stressful... If anyone's ever cooked professionally as a chef, you'll know what I mean. It's a very bloody stressful job. So the swearing needs to come out. It's why I've still got a potty mouth. I'll never get rid of it. I try my best in these streams not to swear too much, but fuck it. It's only language, isn't it? Fail already. So here we go then. Final runs. 2.5 minutes coming up to go. Esteban Ocon is going to get a time now. So 28.8 in the first sector he's looking to beat. Does a twice down. Quite a hefty whack down, actually. I mean, in F1 terms, 1.5 tenths just over down on the time just to get through into Q3. So it's not looking good for Haas today. That'll be my fault. I'm still going to wear the T-shirt, though. I don't care. I like the T-shirt. But Hadjar's improving. Three sets down on Piastri, but well up on a time to get himself through at the moment. So he might be okay here, Hadjar. We'll see what he can do. 26.9 is the projected knockout time. Wow, yeah, actually, that's up as high as Sainz. So not even Sainz is safe up there. Ocon now a little bit quicker than Bortoleto in the middle sector, but still down overall, I would imagine. Unless we'll see in a minute. He's about to come round and complete his lap, so we will find out very, very shortly what's going to happen here with Esteban Ocon. Tsunoda up into 8th place. He will get a chance. He could go again. He's going to have to do a very quick lap again, though, but that could be it for Tsunoda. As Ocon does sneak through into 9th as it stands by next to nothing, really. So this is going to be a big ask for him. Here comes Hadjar. Green in the first sector. Green in the second sector. Nicely round. Turn 17. Through these two corners that aren't really corners. 18 and 19 and goes... P10 sneaks through as it stands. Still, though, Hamilton, Bortoleto, Russell, Doohan and Lawson all yet to get their laps in as we enter the final 60 seconds of this session. I think Yuki might be in trouble here. Although Hadjar and Ocon not improving by enough might help him get through there. But Doohan's improving. Russell's improving. Lawson improving. Hamilton is not improving. In fact, Lewis Hamilton... Was that across the chicane there from Russell? Just the way the camera angle. Hamilton has not improved. Hamilton crosses the line, stays 11th. Hamilton is out of qualifying. I think Bortoleto is going to follow him. Not if Bortoleto is going very slow. So Bortoleto out. Hamilton and Bortoleto both out. Sainz improves to 5th place. Here we go. Russell, Doohan, Lawson. These laps need to count. They're lighting up the timing towers with green. Here comes George Russell round the final corner, over the line to go P3 on a 26.575, comfortably through. Can Jack Doohan get himself into Q3 for, I think, the first time in his F1 career. It's going to be close. He stays 14th. That's a surprise. He was improving and improving again, but Lawson stays 15th. Yeah, nothing at the end there. So both of them improving, neither of them getting through. So Lawson and Doohan join Bortoleto, Lewis Hamilton, and Isack Hadjar in dropping out of qualifying. Ocon did sneak through. He did sneak through by 0.02 of a second. Again, nothing in it. Incredible. So Ocon through. So we've lost Hadjar, Hamilton, Bortoleto, Doohan, and Lawson. Lewis Hamilton will be furious with that, I'd imagine. But his struggles continue at Ferrari. I don't mean this with any... Let's just watch this replay, actually, quickly. It turns 17. A lock up again at 17. He's not getting that corner right at all. It's twice today he's done that when he needed the lap, and that's cost him, and that's it for... It goes down anyway, but I was just going to say, no hate or shade or whatever towards Lewis Hamilton. That's not what I'm doing here, but I remember when it was a shock that Lewis Hamilton didn't make Q3. Now you sort of go, oh, Hamilton's out again, really struggling. It's a great example of how quickly things can change in F1, from dominance to suddenly struggling, and then moving teams are still struggling. You know, it's not... It also proves that switching teams doesn't solve all your problems. So I think Elizabeth's analysis of the situation with Hamilton is absolutely brilliant. I have to say, I'm not being biased. I believe that. I think she made some excellent points in that video she did a couple of weeks ago. And one of them was that he's just never really got to grips with these ground effect cars, and that's not going to be fixed by switching to a new team where you need to learn as well. So disappointing, but given Ferrari's pace for the majority of this weekend, pre-pit stop for Hamilton in the sprint today, which helped him jump up to third, great timing on that, of course, kind of fits with where they've been. They've been struggling to really match anybody, haven't they? I mean, Leclerc's only 8th, to be fair, so yeah, just a shame to see, but yeah. All the rookies knocked out. F1 is not for teenagers and 40-year-olds, says Nick the Greek. Yeah, all the rookies gone. Yeah, Hamilton and Fernando Alonso out. So you need to be, you know, a young spring chicken like me. Hey, I'm not 40 yet. Back off. I might look 63, but I'm not 40 yet. I'm not having that. So if F1's not for 40-year-olds, then Nick, does that mean that I have to retire next year from doing this? I'll have to find a successor. Bortoleto's best qualifying is P13 so far. Decent weekend so far for Sauber. So let's see what happens tomorrow, says Pascal. Yeah, thank you, Farty Golf Balls. Good point. Antonelli's still in. Is that how good Antonelli is? To Nick. Just forgot it was a rookie. He's that good. There you go. Helen says, thank you for your live in Corfu and couldn't miss out on the action. Thank you, Helen. Thank you for popping on. I hope you're having a good time in Corfu. Is it a holiday or are you I assume, given that you said couldn't miss out the action, I assume it's a holiday, but if you do live there, very jealous, but I hope you're having a great time, whatever. But thank you for joining us. Appreciate your company. Appreciate all your company, except for Kevin, who says Sean is done, old man. Liam Lawson looks frustrated in the car there. Battery problem for Liam Lawson. He said, goodness me, what the flipping hell has happened to my battery? Basically, I'm paraphrasing slightly, of course. But yeah, not happy with his battery there. Hadjar says, come on, man. Oh, my God. I'm not doing the voice. I'm not going to shout it like he did. He's frustrated as well. So only just, like I say, 0.02 of a second missing out on that Q3 appearance for Hadjar, but it's not a bad place to start 11th, is it? He probably, with respect, would have been around 9th or 10th anyway, so 11th isn't a disaster for him, but yeah, he was disappointed not to get into Q3. Lawson battery issues by the sounds of it, so. Hey, Mad, hope you well, mate. Good morning from Australia. Paradox says Miami is a circus without a tent. Maybe they could ask the people who are going to build the new Old Trafford if they could put a circus tent over it for them. Nick says you're the new Murray Walker, Sean. You age like wine, more like milk. Slightly cheesy and a bit gross. Sold. On that note, please do drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you're new as well, because I age like milk. There you go. Not like fine wine, but I'll take the fine wine thing. Thank you, Nick. Please do subscribe if you're new and drop a like as well. A couple of hundred here. I expected that would have been a Saturday night, but yeah, thank you to those who have tuned in. We're at 44 likes at the moment, so all the likes we can get will be great. If we get over 100, it will be a miracle, but I have faith in you guys. Let's see how close we can get to that one. Lots to come this weekend. There will be a paddock wrap-up or a Saturday wrap-up from Elizabeth, either early hours of the morning today or first thing tomorrow morning. That makes no sense. You know what I mean? Either later tonight, let's say, or first thing tomorrow morning, breakfast time on Sunday, depending how quickly she can get that to me, and I can get that edited and out on socials. So keep an eye out for that one. I'm live tomorrow again, hopefully 8:30 p.m, unless that gets delayed as well. For the race watch along, then there'll be another short as well, wrapping up the Sunday action from Elizabeth, who's on the ground in Miami, and probably a longer form one as well on Monday. Then I'll be back on Tuesday after that. Lots to come this week as well. So there we go. Thank you for your support as always. Speaking of cheese, what accent does Wallace have from Wallace and Gromit? If you're asking me to do it, it's not happening. That's the first point I'll make. I have no idea. German. CPB says, hey guys, Milk here, welcome to the semi-skimmed word. There you go. Esteban Ocon top 10 somehow. How does he do it? It says Wingcap. It's the t-shirt. It's all me. It's all me. Well, I'm surprised he's through today. I mean, I said when he got that lap in, that wasn't going to be enough, didn't I? And just nobody else improved by enough. But Lawson, battery issues, Hadjar not a million miles away, Hamilton with his mistake at turn 17, all played into that. But I'd like to see Doohan's lap back, because he was green all over the place, but that could have been his first flying lap, to be fair. But he was green all over the place and didn't really deliver the lap I was hoping for there. But still, out-qualified Gasly first time this season, so that's a big positive as well for Jack Doohan. I'm just going to try and tweak the timing again, because it's so... I can't work out why I'm so far ahead of the television coverage, unless I haven't made a... No, I did this the other week. I'd paused for something, then forgot to catch up and was wondering why it was out of sync. So I'll let you know. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, then I'll just try and hang fire and watch the TV rather than the timing tower, which I probably should be doing anyway. But as I'm sure you can understand, doing these lives, it's quite difficult to pay a huge amount of attention to the racing. But we muddle through. That's why I've got all the timing. Couldn't do this without multi-viewer, let's put it that way. They're fantastic at what they do. So cars starting to queue at the end of the pit lane then for Q3. Wallace and Gromit is elite, says CPB. Did you see the Christmas Day one? That was a good one. I think we've caught up about... No, we haven't at all, have we? I lied to you. Oh, well. We'll see how we go. But yeah, no, if you caught the Christmas one, that was a good episode. Or a good... It's a film, really, isn't it, I suppose? But yeah. Can't beat a bit of Wallace and Gromit at Christmas. Absolutely can't. Here we go then. Yeah, I'm still going to be... So the timing on your screen is going to be slightly ahead of what's on TV. So apologies there. But there's a delay anyway on YouTube. It probably makes no difference to you whatsoever. Because it's about an 8 to 10 second delay between me saying this and you hearing it anyway. So I'm slightly in the future. I'll not tell you anything. Don't worry. I'll keep it all quiet. Louis says it's because the TV goes back to F1 HQ, then it's redistributed to F1's affiliates, who then broadcast it to you. Oh yeah, I know, I get that. It's but you can sync it up with there's a live delay on multiview, and I usually set it to 9500 milliseconds, and that's usually perfectly in sync with the TV. But for some reason, it's not working like that today, so it's a bit off. But yeah. If you watched it live, the time would be completely off. So yeah, but I tried to tweak it and it's not quite worked this weekend. So I'll have a play around. We'll see. I'll sort it for tomorrow. We'll just have to get spoilers from the timing as we watch together. It's fine. Here we go then. So everybody out on track at the moment. Everybody but is that... No, I think everybody's out there. Russell isn't out there, but then he could be out there, and the timing hasn't just picked him up. So George Russell is very much... We'll see what happens if he turns up on TV, basically. So we're going to see who you got for pole then. Let me know in chat who have you got for pole. I said Verstappen on Thursday, and I'm going to stick with that because that's how my predictions work. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Piastri up there. Could be we might get a shock. We'll see what happens. But yeah, let me know who you're going for in the chat now. Who you're going for pole today? Who you're backing? You've got to cut. I'll ignore them in a minute because no cheating. Gustav and Christian have both gone with Piastri there, so a couple of early ones there for Oscar. Norris for Nick. Dan's blaming George and his transponders. Probably Piastri, but I have a feeling Norris will find something. He says Fudd. Korn says Lando. CPB says Sainz. I'll stick with Norris, says Red Raven, mainly because I said Norris in the preview and I'm stuck with it. Yeah, I feel a bit like that. I make CPB's drunk, apparently. There you go. Went with Sainz. Yeah, no, I feel like after previews, I do the previews and they come to these and like, what are your predictions? And I think, well, I kind of have to stick with my predictions because that's what I score myself on. So, yeah, I can't really change that, but I've got no points so far this weekend, which is depressing. I would have had a point if it wasn't for that damn safety car. But anyway, Warner's End has gone with Oscar for pole. Going to sneeze in a minute. I can feel it coming on. And I apologise in advance. Ocon, 27-4 as he goes over the line for Haas there. I am going to sneeze. 2 secs. I assume it's hay fever rather than a cold. But I do feel a bit groggy. Verstappen does a 26-4. A cold wouldn't surprise me. We did go from 25 degrees on Wednesday to about 12 degrees on Thursday. So, could be. And it's a bit colder today as well. Over the line goes Piastri to go second. 17 thousandths between them. Nothing in it. All on new tyres. And there it goes. Norris somehow finds a gap in there and is 3 thousandths off pole. Verstappen is on provisional pole as it stands. Lots of time in this session yet. Another runs to go. Sainz goes fourth on a 27-2, 7 tenths off. However, Verstappen, Norris, Piastri, all on new tyres. Albon, Sainz, Ocon, Tsunoda, all on used tyres. So bear that in mind. There is more time to find there. Antonelli goes fourth. Pole sitter, of course, for the sprint. 126.7 on new tyres. And George Russell also on a fresh set of softs. Round the final little kink and goes into 6th place. Feels like I don't want to jinx him now and ruin it for him, but I do feel like in qualifying terms, this seems to be Antonelli's weekend over Russell, doesn't it? So there you go. But yeah, we've got what's Russell done? So lock up at turn 17 for Russell as well, similar to the Hamilton one. But yeah, 3 thousandths between Verstappen and Norris. 14 thousandths further back to Piastri, then a couple of tenths back to Antonelli. Moray says 25 degrees in Aviemore a few days ago, snowing down today on Baynak Moor. I've already butchered all those names, so apologies, but yeah. Leclerc going wide at 17 as well. So yeah, it just does that, which, yeah. I'm sure it happens elsewhere in the world, but that's just one of those UK things, isn't it? Just sat there in the garden in your shorts one day and you got your coat on the next day. It's freezing. Freezing's a bit much, but anyway, enough of weather talk. I know I'm British, but you know, we don't always talk about cups of tea and weather, although I do fancy a cup of tea in this weather. Max Verstappen back into the garage for Red Bull. Gonna get some fresh tyres on, getting himself ready to go. Again, the McLaren's in as well, as you would expect. But yeah, now we wait. Leclerc's time won't count, of course. Deleted for going wide at turn 17 wouldn't have mattered anyway. It wasn't a great lap because he'd been off track anyway. So there we go. So it wasn't a 28.7, 33.5 and a 32.5. He'd have been way off, wouldn't he, the front? So yeah. Whoa, the sparks on that McLaren. I wonder if Mercedes are running their car as low as they were in sprint quali yesterday. I wonder. Because Albon questioned its legality, didn't it? At one point in the... Was it Albon? At one point in the session? How is that Merc legal? He takes off. across the curve there. A bit of air for Piastri, so nice and dramatic. Now I've got that weird lull. With Albon if Albon pulls a Stroll in Turkey 20 and puts it on pole, I'll down the whole bottle of gin I got in his honour, says Red Raven. Reminds me, what do you think of that? Yeah. If you down a bottle of gin, if Albon gets pole, we're staying live until I've read some of your messages, Red Raven, that's for sure. In fact, I'll give you a Discord invite and you come join me on the stream because that'd be absolutely hilarious, I feel. I'll down the bottle of Jack Daniels I got behind me and we'll just be really, really nasty to people for an hour on stream drunk and then try and rub it off as banter tomorrow with a hangover. There you go. That's what we'll do. Dan says the Ferraris are so inconsistent. Tell me about it, Dan. It's painful. I know the conditions work that way and the strategy worked really well this afternoon with the sprint, but Hamilton third in the sprint, down in 12th in this quali, struggling one weekend, fastest up in the mix with the fast runners the next, and I can't work them out. I can't work them out at all. So I've given up trying, if I'm being honest. Sounds really terrible, but I still love that team to pieces, but I've just given up guessing. If they turn up and they're quick, I'll be happy. If they turn up and they're not, then I won't be surprised either, so... Oh, I'm ready for this. So I'm just taking a second there because we've got 3 minutes to go. Car's now going out on track. We're about to get this final rush. Hopefully, a nice dramatic end. No red flags, though. Not that kind of drama. We want a really nice, clean run to the end. Great laps. And Albon on pole. Yeah, is that what we're going with? Because we want to see Red Raven drunk. That's what we're going with. What I will say on the Albon thing, actually, Red Raven, just on the serious point you were making, obviously, the Mercedes wasn't illegal because it would have failed the scrutineering, but the fact that he's got his eye on that and the fact he can see how close that is to the ground when he's still trying to do his own thing in the car is impressive. He's switched on. I mean, they're all switched on, aren't they? But he's one that seems to be really switched on. Like you say, he doesn't often talk rubbish like me. So it was. I kind of, rather than getting into the, is it illegal? Is it not? I was more impressed with the fact that he spotted that and radioed it back while still trying to handle his own car. I know they all do stuff like that. I mean, Verstappen's good at it, isn't he? He'll call things before the stewards even see him sometimes. So, yeah. Michael says, hey, Sean, do you think there is a chance we see Alonso retire after this season? Hey, Michael, hope you're well, mate. I talked about it earlier briefly, but I think with Adrian Newey coming in next year, he'll want to give him a year, won't he? You'd have thought at the start of a regulation cycle, but I guess it's what he feels in the simulator will be key later this year. If he doesn't feel the car's there, he might call it a day. But again, just before we get into these final laps, Verstappen holds the key here. If he says he's leaving Red Bull, that's going to shake up the market massively, and then Aston might ask Fernando to not take the option. That's a mistake by Verstappen in the first couple of corners there. Car just would not get through turn one there, so that's going to be compromising him. There's nothing in it, so that kind of mistake is going to be critical here. That must be the 30th time I said there's nothing in it in this stream. Sorry, Michael, I'm just going to keep an eye on this one now with Max there doing his lap. He's purple in the first sector. It's only by a couple of hundredths, but despite that mistake in turn one, that wobble through the first corner, he's still purple. We need a jingle that's just Max Verstappen things to some kind of really dodgy... I can see if James Acaster will do it. There you go. Thinking hypothetical. James's wish list. One of those Verstappen things. Here goes Norris. This car looks just ridiculously glued to the track. And he's down. A tenth and a half down. Verstappen's up by nearly 2/10 in the middle sector. Excited for a Verstappen pole potentially, but also excited I might get a point in my predictions. I got 3 the other weekend and he passed out when I counted them up. But yeah, Norris, not great at all here. Everybody on fresh tyres except Leclerc on used tyres, apparently. That might No, that is his lap, isn't it? Yeah. Verstappen, a 26.204. We're not going to get into 25s unless Piastri pulls them out of the bag. And Norris goes purple in the middle sector by a tenth of a second. So this is tight. He's still in this, Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri, 28.5 in the first sector. 0.3 slower than Verstappen. I think unless he pulls one out, he's done a good middle sector. He's back in it, Piastri. I think this is Norris versus Verstappen here. I'm watching the Williams to see what they're doing. Not bad, but not expected. Here goes Lando Norris. No safety car to help him there. 600ths of a second off pole. So Verstappen currently provisional pole. Piastri improving as the lap goes on. Can he put in a banging final sector? No, he can't. It's only third for Piastri. So Verstappen, as it stands, on pole position. Norris second. Piastri third. Here comes Kimi Antonelli. Sainz goes fourth for Williams on a 26.5, 3.5 tenths off pole position. Alex Albon, what can he do? He's going to come through now. Over the line goes fifth place. It's fourth and fifth for Williams at the moment. Here comes Kimi Antonelli round the final corner. Up to third place. Splits the McLarens. What a weekend that lad is having. Third place, 26.2, 600ths, nearly 700ths off pole position. Here comes George Russell into fifth place. Knocks the Williams down to sixth and seventh. There we go. Max Verstappen on pole position for the 2025 Miami Grand Prix. Lando Norris joining him on the front row. Kimi Antonelli, pole for the sprint. Third today, 700ths best part of, off of pole position. Oscar Piastri a 10th further back in fourth. Russell fifth. Sainz in sixth. Albon seventh. Leclerc eighth. Ocon ninth. Tsunoda 10th. It's such 7 tenths between the top 10. But if you look at the gaps between each driver, I'll read those because I can. 600ths off pole for Norris. 2,000ths further back is Antonelli. A 10th back is Piastri. 100th back is Russell, 2/10 back is Sainz, a 10th back is Albon, 700th back is Leclerc, 700th back is Ocon, a 10th back is Tsunoda. It is so close in there. It really is. What a session for Max Verstappen. Nobody thought he was going to get pole today. It's obviously that new floor. It's all to do with the new floor. Lando Norris, second place. Piastri, fourth. Surprised McLaren didn't get pole in the end, but Antonelli top three and Sainz and Albon sixth and seventh, and not a million miles away either from the cars ahead. Is seriously impressive. So I thought when everything ramped up and fresh tyres and the team, your Red Bull driver, Verstappen, the McLarens all got their foot down and got on with it, Williams were going to get cut well adrift in that fight. I don't think they are really. I mean, yeah, right, fine. Nearly 5 tenths off pole for Albon, but that's in a Williams. I think that's impressive stuff. So great to see. But yeah, there you go. Verstappen on pole. No drunk Red Raven, unfortunately. But yeah. Maybe next time. We'll have to make a bet. It will definitely come true next time. Just for the lols. But that's good. I think that's a good grid. You've got a Verstappen Norris run to turn one. You've got Antonelli and Piastri on a second row. Antonelli might want a bit of revenge is the wrong word, but you know what I mean, for what happened in the sprint today. You've got the Williams side by side. Leclerc, I'd say out of position, but who knows with Ferrari. Ocon's up there. Tsunoda's going to have a point to prove tomorrow as well. I think that's a really nice top 10. A good grid overall, actually. A couple of cars potentially out of position with the pace we've seen so far this weekend. Could be a fun race tomorrow. Except for it's on the Miami International Autodrome, so we'll see what happens. But no problem, Dan. Enjoy the pub, mate. Have one on me. Or have one for me. I can't just say, here's some fake money. There you go. Yeah, enjoy, Dan. Hope you have a good one and maybe see you tomorrow. Yeah, wing cap saying exactly what everyone was thinking. Let's leave it there. Yeah, I'm impressed with that. And Antonelli celebrating there with Verstappen. Top three. Yeah, Antonelli, let's have a look at the quality stats, see what that's done. Why not? That's going to light on my face massively, isn't it? But I apologise, so sorry. But, let's go here. So, Verstappen 4-0 up on Tsunoda. Hands up all those surprised. It's 3-0 between Norris and Piastri. 5-1 to Leclerc. It's 5-1 to Russell, so Antonelli's pulled it back today. Alonso 6-0 up on Stroll. Gasly and Doohan is 5-1. Ocon and Bearman is 3-2 on sessions. They've both set a lap, 4-2 overall. We'll do the overall, why not? Hadjar 3-1 up on Lawson, Albon and Sainz. So Sainz now and Albon is 3 apiece. That's nice and fun, isn't it? And Hulkenberg Bortoleto is 4-2. There you go. Some nice little battles out there, actually. Teammate battles going on this season in quali. So, yeah. Great stuff from Antonelli again, as Pascal said. Not far off pole. Not far off pole. Mercedes, do we think, is it just a track-specific thing, which seems ridiculous given the starts of the season they've had? I don't know why I'm asking that question, but I'll throw it out there anyway, even though it's a ridiculous question. They just seem to have taken a step forward. And I made the joke, I think, earlier this year that it would be quite funny and of Mercedes to, right at the end of this regulation era, 5 form again and actually nail the regulations and get the car right when it's a bit too late. But there you go. Still good stuff, though, from Mercedes. Good to see them right in the mix. Russell got a couple of podiums, hasn't he, already this season? Maybe more? Possibly more? It's a good question. Where is he? George. 3 podiums. Yeah. Australia, China, and Bahrain. So they're quick Mercedes. Someone said in the comments the other day actually about them being the second fastest, which maybe as a team, Mercedes is the second fastest, but I would say it's McLaren, Verstappen, Mercedes, sometimes Ferrari. I kind of want Kimi to get his first podium tomorrow. He's performed really well this weekend. We'll talk a bit more about Kimi Antonelli tomorrow because there is some stuff I wanted to say, but we'll save that for the race one tomorrow when probably when the race is over. See how the weekend unfolds before we start saying anything either way. So I don't look totally stupid, you know. But yeah, Mike, a lot of potential is Kimi Antonelli, but we'll talk about that one tomorrow, definitely. Shout out to Bortoleto, says Nilesh, absolutely. Out-qualifying Nico Hulkenberg, second time this season, first time since Australia. So that's, again, just to make the point, don't forget the experience Nico Hulkenberg has as well. That's, you know, doubly impressive there. If Max moves straight over to cover Norris like normal, Piastri may surprise him with the lightning starts he's beginning. Oh, don't Warren. That'd be a tasty. There's a great shot from last year of the 2 McLarens and the Red Bull of Verstappen pretty much completely side by side through the first corner of the Hungaroring. I was going to say the Hungarian Grand Prix, but that's kind of, yeah. That into turn 1 tomorrow could get very spicy. Particularly look at those first few corners. They could easily end up side by side through 2 and 3. But that'd be good fun. I'd enjoy that tomorrow. So don't tease me, Warren. Don't tease me with that one. Nick says Kimi will not let Oscar pass tomorrow. That's a fun one. That one, and actually, you know, looking through that field, Sainz Albon is an interesting one. Because they're not going to want to be running into each other because that's potential big points for Williams, but they've also got to fend off Leclerc behind, so that could be interesting into turn 1. But yeah, Verstappen, Norris, Antonelli, Piastri is a really tasty front row, or top 4, so that could be a lot of fun. How many teams made the top 10, by the way? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 teams in the top 10 again. It's close out there, I keep saying it. So yeah, I'm not writing Ferrari off yet. Hamilton showed today that car does have some potential still with the right calls. And that's the key, isn't it? With the right calls. Ferrari one weekend will make the perfect call, get it bang on. Another weekend, they'll make us all go, what on earth are you doing? So both Williams ahead of both Ferraris. How did Sainz know last winter, says Nick. Dennis says Anthony will be very aggressive into turn 1 after the sprint race. I kind of want Kimi to get his podium tomorrow. I think I read that one from CPB. We've done the shout out to Bortoleto. Great lap from Antonelli. Hamilton needs to be his own race engineer again, like in the sprint. Yeah, and then it needs to be Leclerc's race engineer as well and make sure they don't go out on inters when doing a reconnaissance lap. Watching that back after the sprint, the Leclerc incident, which was weird. When he left the pits, it's hard to say that inters were the wrong call because the track didn't look that bad. It wasn't until he got round further in the lap that it really was pouring down and the track was soaked. So I think to go out on the inters based on what they could see in front of their eyes was the right call, but it was the wrong call further around the lap. So I think cut a bit of slack there, but everyone else went with the wets, didn't they? So I see that Sky have gone with the whole Miami Vice thing. I did think about it for the streams, but one, I've done that to death over the last few years, and two, I didn't have the time, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I think the first, when Miami got announced, we did a stream, didn't we, to talk about it and what the track potentially looked like. That's when they had the weird shaped one over the bridge. If you remember that initial concept for the Miami Grand Prix track, and that was announced, and we first we did a stream to talk about it, and I went all 80s for that and Miami Vice, and yeah, we've done that to death. Two-wheel drive says Williams could do a decent team job tomorrow with both Sainz and Albon finally putting it together in the top 10. That's the key, isn't it? Work together tomorrow, bank some big points. Williams have been one of the most impressive teams this season, or the teams that have impressed me the most. Both, I know Sainz has been a bit rocky from time to time. He seems to be getting to grips with the car now, which is great to see. Albon's done a fantastic job. Some really good results out there as well, and it's a close fight. So I'm enjoying Williams' sort of resurgence, and I hope that becomes a thing they build on even more into next season, again with that Mercedes power unit, another new car. Hopefully they can keep taking those strides forwards with that experience as well. Now, not needing a pay driver is such a huge boost to Williams, because now they can go for the best two drivers they can get their hands on, rather than a great driver that they want to get their hands on and then somebody who's maybe there because they're a pay driver. I know pay drivers are a bit of a thing in F1, and they're falling away a little bit now, but it's a big debate for another day. But it's nice to then get the best two drivers and get their hands on, get that car right, and they're delivering. I mean, look at, Albon's results, 6th, 10th and 9th. Sainz got 10th, 8th and 6th. They've got lots of points on the board. They're not positions either. That's qualifying, Sean. You're reading the wrong thing. I was looking at points, sorry. So we'll try it again. Points. You look at their points. Albon, 10 points. China, 6 points, 2 points, 2 points, a point for Sainz in China and 4 in Saudi Arabia. So they're racking them up between them, and they're looking good, Williams. So I'm just really happy to see them making steps forward. It's a nostalgia thing, of course. It is McLaren, Ferrari, Williams one day fighting at the front again would be a dream for me. But just to see a team, and I hate to go back to it, but because it's almost a cliche now on this channel and around F1, but go back to 2019 as an example. They were nowhere. The car wasn't even ready at one point to go testing. And the steps they've taken under James Vowles, getting the right drivers in, getting the right drivers in the right people in the right places, getting the sponsors on board, they're looking so good. So I'm just really happy to see them there. Lots of positivity for Williams. That's what I'm saying. If we can get my words out, I could do that in 2 seconds. Happy for Williams. Very positive. Looking good for the future. But of course, I'll do a 10-minute waffle about it first, just to say the same thing. You know me by now. It's a Sean thing. It's an F1 word thing, actually. It's what I do. But yes, very happy for Williams. Also happy to see McLaren bouncing back to form over the last couple of years. Still seeing Verstappen up there. Mercedes getting it right. It's a great season. It's almost a shame that we are going to be, for the second time this stream, ripping it all up next year and starting again. Let's see. Warren says getting Vowles in was the best thing for Williams. Absolutely. I was a bit sceptical, actually, on the Derilton Capital buyout, because it felt like, that's the soul ripped out of the team. But actually, and also they had no real F1 racing pedigree. It felt like one of those things, an investment group, if you like, coming in, buying it, and then they'd raise the value of it and then flog it onto the highest bidder. It felt a bit like that, but actually they've come in, they've made some great calls. Like, they've brought people as ambassadors who have done a good job bringing in James Vowles, getting the drivers, like I say, on board, who are now delivering. Sainz is finding his feet. Albon's delivering what he needs to deliver. I think they're in great shape, and James Vowles is doing so much behind the scenes that we're not seeing. It's making such a difference. So I'm really happy for them. Really pleased to see them there, and also great they kept the Williams name, as Red Raven says in chat there. So yes, we'll wrap up shortly, because a few of you have already disappeared, and I imagine you probably want to go get on with your Saturday evenings down the pub or whatever you're doing tonight, watching Doctor Who maybe. That was my plan, but I think I've got a short to edit first, so probably not going to happen. Sad times. I could watch it tomorrow. It's fine. I've recorded it. But yeah, any quick questions there before we wrap up for today? Get them in chat. I'll quickly run through the order and then we'll end for the day. So Verstappen, Max Verstappen is on pole position for the 2025 Miami Grand Prix, beating Lando Norris by 600ths of a second. His second place is Norris. Third place, Kimi Antonelli, just 2,000ths further back. Great weekend so far for him in quali. Hopefully he has a better start to the race than he had in the sprint, thanks to Oscar Piastri and that battle into turn one early this afternoon, and can pick up some big points there to bounce back from that. Oscar Piastri in fourth place. Tasty front row, tasty second row. Looking forward to that. George Russell, fifth place, 100th off Piastri ahead of him, so it's very close up there. And then the Williams of Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon together, 6th and 7th on the grid. Great stuff from them. Charles Leclerc, 8th for Ferrari, 9th for Esteban Ocon, and 10th for Yuki Tsunoda. Once again, getting that Red Bull into the top 10, which I kind of feel like, given the issues of that second car, that's what he needs to be doing. So good stuff from Tsunoda. Hopefully, if he can get the new floor at Imola with the whole upgrade package as well, he might be set there, Yuki. So we'll see what happens. Isack Hadjar, frustrated with 11th, was only just missing out in Q3, but not an awful place to start tomorrow, given he would have been probably back end of the top 10 anyway. So he's not lost a huge amount, but tough track to pass on. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Hamilton down in 12th place, really struggled in that session. Couple of mistakes at turn 17 with lockups. Gabriel Bortoleto out qualifying Nico Hulkenberg for the second time so far this season. Jack Doohan out qualifying Pierre for the first time this season. He's 14th. Liam Lawson in 15th. He had battery issues according to his team radio, so that's probably why he's so far down there. May have been close to Hadjar, 4/10 between them in the end. Nico Hulkenberg, 16th place, knocked out in Q1. Fernando Alonso after his crash. Great job from Aston Martin to get that car rebuilt after the sprint, and then 17th, which is a shame, but he did out-qualify his teammate again this season. Pierre, 18th, Stroll 19th, and Ollie Bearman once again last place in 20th for Haas, but a close field after Q1. 1.1 seconds, wasn't it, covering the top 20. So one mistake, one great lap, made all the difference. Which driver is the most under pressure, says Red Raven. I'm still sticking with Ocon if Doohan is discounted. Do you mean pressure for their seat? Because if we just pressure in general, Lewis Hamilton will be under mad pressure at Ferrari to turn this around. So, yeah. But if you're talking about in terms of their future, I think Doohan is always... I think Jack Doohan is always going to be... I said it in that video... Tuesday, the predictions are a regret video. Doohan's just a driver who's going to have to spend his whole F1 career, however long it may be, having to answer questions about his future. I think he's just going to be one of those drivers. So he's always going to be under pressure for that seat. I don't think Ocon is. I disagree on that. We disagreed last time, didn't we? And I won't go over those again. I think Ocon's doing okay. We've got to remember he is adapting to a new car. He is beating his teammate marginally. I haven't done the maths with the times today, but we'll see when I work that one out. But he is beating his teammate marginally in terms of the quali battle, although Bearman's got him on average, I know, over a lap. He's not setting the world like Haas, but he's not doing a terrible job. I think let's give him a few more races. I've always said, as you know, Red Raven, 8 races in, and then we can look at a third of the season out of the way, who's where, and we can look at it properly. But yeah, I think there will be pressure on Ocon because he was sort of the big name they signed, wasn't he, really, at Haas. There'll be pressure on Yuki, whatever. Whoever's in that second Red Bull seat is always under threat. I do think, potentially controversial, I do think there's a bit of pressure on Fernando Alonso. I don't think Aston would sack him. I don't think he's under pressure to lose his seat mid-season or anything like that, like Doohan might be, for example, or whatever. But I think there is a bit of pressure there because I know he's been unlucky with some of the things that have happened. You know, anyone could have crashed in those conditions in Australia, and that was proven by the fact Alonso did. Maybe some would argue he takes some of the blame for the Lawson crash today. I would say that's on Lawson. Not much Alonso could do there except jump out of his way, so a bit unlucky there. But he's not really below it. He's had a couple of laps in qualifying, I think, where I've gone, wow, but he's not really blown me away this season. I know that's a bad car, and he is out qualifying Stroll still, but I don't think he's doing what, you know, Alonso can drag poor cars to good results. We've seen it through his career, and he's just not able to quite do that with the Aston Martin this season for one reason or another. So I don't know. I don't think he's under pressure to be sacked or anything like that, but I do think there's a bit of pressure there. And maybe when it comes to reviewing driver situations and that 1 year extension option they have, Aston might go, do you want to give this guy the seat next year? I think you'd be mad not to. But I do think there is a bit of pressure on Fernando. And maybe, you know, that's why we see some of the mistakes, because the pressure is there and he's feeling it. But I always get the impression for Fernando Alonso, he's pretty chill these days. Maybe not when he was younger, but I feel quite chill. Bro would take it with no real stress, if you like. I don't think he'd be making mistakes because of pressure, but it might be. I don't know. But I just not to sack him. Just make that clear if anyone's just tuning in and Sean saying Alonso's under pressure. Not for a sacking, but just a bit of pressure there. His teammate's on about 16 points or something like that, and he's got nothing for one reason or another, and 2 tenths between them today in quali. So I don't know. Again, I don't think he'll go anywhere. I think if Alonso's happy with the car he feels in the simulator for next year and he wants to stay, I think Aston will keep him unless Max Verstappen becomes available, and that might raise a question mark. But to be honest, I'll say it, I defended him last week and got a load of shite for it from people who can't stand other people having different opinions to them. But actually, if Verstappen's available and you want to keep Alonso and you've got the money for it, Verstappen and Alonso at Aston Martin? Just a thought. I think that'd be quite a tasty lineup. Johnny Diggett says, I'm seeing a Grand Prix in person on Sunday. Rooting for Hamilton. Who do you think will win? Well, first of all, enjoy, Johnny. Thank you for popping along. I'd like to go Miami. I want to go to Miami anyway, but to see the Grand Prix would be quite cool. I feel like it's one that's maybe more enjoyable to attend than maybe to watch. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow if the race is a cracker. Tomorrow, I went with Verstappen for the win on Thursday when I did my predictions. I will stick with that. But you can't rule out Norris and Piastri. So I hope Hamilton has a good race for you. But I'd be surprised if he's up there winning from 12th place. But you know, look, who thought third today in the sprint? These things happen. A bit of a safety car, a bit of rain, anything like that, it mixes things up. But yeah, I'll stick with Verstappen. But McLaren are just so good, you can't rule them out for sure. A lot of penalties and crashes for that to happen for Stroll, but yeah, says Nilesh. Even then, I'm not sure it'll happen. I saw a comment I wanted to read and it's gone. Red Raven says, good point, perhaps topic for streaming the mid-season break with your colleagues. Yeah, could be a good idea. I'll jot that. I'll add that to the list. I've got it planned out to the end of August. Planned. I know, weird. But I could throw that in for sure. Do you think Toto could be at risk of losing Antonelli to Ferrari once Lewis retires? If Antonelli continues to progress the way he has, and we'll talk more about Antonelli tomorrow, like I say, I don't think you're getting him out of Toto Wolff's grasp anytime soon. he let Verstappen slip through his fingers. He ain't letting Antonelli go, that's for sure. Interesting Russell contract situation. That was maybe a conversation for another day as well. But surprised he's not been signed up. But again, I think Verstappen holds that key, and until he decides what he's doing, one way or another, you don't want to nail down all your seats here just in case. I'll read a couple more comments then, and then we'll call it for today. Warren, has anybody talked about Stroll P16 to P5 today in the sprint? I didn't know he started P16, but I think I said earlier he came from a long way back to P5. So we may have mentioned it, but not really discussed it in depth. But I'll be honest, at my age, I've forgotten already what happened half an hour ago, let alone in the sprint. So yeah, again, managed the situation well, didn't he, in a tricky race. Obviously made the right call in the sprint at the right time. 5th place, so good stuff for him. Good points as well. Good points. I just wish the sprint was worth more. It might make it worth it, but yeah. Do we think Bearman is set to replace Hamilton once he retires, or is there someone else? Says Nilesh. I think if you're drawing a list of drivers to make the move to Ferrari next, I think Bearman is probably at the moment top of that list because he is one of their juniors. But we'll see how he progresses as well. It's his first full season. If he delivers, he's got a shot. If he struggles, they might put somebody else top of that list. But lots of talent out there. And interesting here as well, McLaren not closing doors to a Sainz return one day in the future as well the other day. I think that's just general pleasantry, so let's put it that way. But yeah, definitely enjoy the race, Johnny. for sure. It should be. I hope it doesn't rain too heavily, and if it does, take an umbrella. Make sure you stay dry. The way it rained today, but I suppose I think that's a Florida thing, isn't it? It very much rains like that when it wants to. So a couple more then, and then I'm going to call it there. Can Max just wake up and decide which team he wants, says Nick? I know, it's just be one of those. He can leave it as late as he wants, can't he, really, almost? Everyone will wait for him, so it's going to be months and months of will he, won't he, only for him to probably stay where he is. Or, counterpoint, take a sabbatical. New baby. Might decide next year he wants to spend a year at home with Kelly and, is it Lily? The baby name, Lily? Might decide he wants to do that for a year, and then he can sit and watch F1 and go, right, okay, so the team to be at is, and then he can make the decision for 27, because he'll still have an option in 27 if he takes a year out. If he decides in 27 to come back after a year out, people will still take him. So it's possible, but if I was a betting man, well, I wouldn't, because it'd be a terrible bet because you won't get much on it. But I'd say he'll be at Red Bull or Mercedes next season. Unless Alonso announces his retirement in the next few weeks, and then that may throw Aston into the mix. But I think that there you go. Red Raven says, like the stream. Yes, please do leave a like. We're going to leave it there, though, for today, because it's a quieter stream with it being late on a Saturday evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening or rest of your day or whatever you're doing. That's a good point, actually. Very quickly, sorry. His sabbatical will probably involve WEC, and I would love it. Yeah, he'll probably race somewhere. I mean, a break from F1. But yeah, it's a good point. He probably will end up doing something, even just sim racing. He'd still do it, wouldn't he? So, but yes, we will leave it there for today. Please do leave a like before you go. Really appreciate your support on the stream, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. Lots to come this weekend and over the course of this season as well. I'll be back tomorrow. Keep an eye out for Elizabeth Shorts, of course, or short videos over the rest of the weekend, wrapping up from the paddock in Miami. Keep an eye out for those. Give them some love as well. And please do join me tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. BST, all being well, for the race watch along, where hopefully we're going to get a very exciting Miami Grand Prix. Hopefully. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word. And until next time, goodbye.